legend to benefit from that repeated cause. But let's see if we didn't get jebaited. Is it going to be Annie versus Draven, saying which Fury purple deck is going to be coming out on top? I am excited for this matchup. It looks like Targon's Peak for the Draven player and then Dreaming Tree for Annie. And real quick, is that Annie metal card? Because she almost looks like I'm seeing a little bit of an emboss going on there.
It could be the metal, or it could be the new Spiritforged Nexus Knights Annie as well. Can't really tell.
The foil one,
yeah, or he could have picked up the metal card yesterday. I saw a lot of people grabbing
so
metal
many, right?
yesterday.
I'm so jealous of that. They're making it look so
same.
easy. It was so hard in Houston to get metal cards. It looks like everyone is able to get metal cards, or it could be a little false consensus effect as the people that got it are the ones posting online.
Yeah, exactly. It's winner's bias, isn't it?
Right.
The interesting thing about the Minotaur is I think it hard counters Aurelia, and I think it actually hard counters Annie. Like a lot of Annie stuff requires to, push their units back, push your units back, flashes, those sort of things. Interesting choice of battlefield as a blind first as well. Targon's Peak. You often see that going first rather than blind first. This Draven deck is confusing me. Plus, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so far it's benefiting him because he was indeed on. Actually, no, he was on the play, getting to the battlefield first, so it ends up benefiting here. But you're totally right. Dravens do tend to go for things like a Reaver's Row on that blind first play. But so far, not feeling too bad. It would be better with that Treasure Hunter on a Reaver's Row, but it looks like Scordo choosing to go for the straightforward Conquer on the Dreaming Tree just to not deal with anything with that 2 extra might from that Targon's Peak. It could be something like the Spinning Axe, so it doesn't want to face into that, of course. Now let's see what they're able to put down on this turn. They have 5 rooms to work with. It looks like just a Tide Turner and maybe a second Merchant in hand, so not the biggest units.
No, not the biggest units whatsoever. We do see a Tide Turner looking to filter through the deck, getting rid of the 2 drops that he just doesn't need anymore. Great use of the Tide Turner there with the Traveling Merchant. Probably one of the old school combos that we're used to seeing. And it's, this Draven deck, I think it's going to play really, really, really well into what the Annie's going to try and do. And I'm really interested to see, is there another meta of Draven? Is there like this aggro Draven? Is there this, Miracle Draven? Is there mid-range Draven? Are we going to see a control Draven at some point?
I mean, those are great colors. You do have some control-y options. You do have some great kill spells because, you do have Falling Stars, the Void Seekers, those kind of cards that don't really see the light of day in those Draven decks. So potentially in the future, they might be a little bit more beneficial to run. But so far, Draven has been pretty well established on what are the more optimal cards to run in that 40-card deck as the Treasure Hunter does get pulled back. And look where he's placing the gold BMU. He's putting gold in the battlefields now.
The deck list was wrong. They picked the wrong deck list.
Did they?
Like I've just seen a Kaiser in his hand, and on the deck list he didn't run a Kaiser. Also, I've just noticed a champion on the deck list was Darius, not Draven. This is the wrong deck. There's a normal mid-range Draven. We got excited for nothing.
It looks so far to be decently normal mid-range so far. So we'll see if there's any surprises. But Draven does get pushed up. And funny enough, invests the gold before the overzealous procs. It should be the defensive player chooses first.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it's a bit of misplay on the trigger. And don't forget, this is still an open. It's just an open. So, there are going to be missed triggers, there are going to be misplays, there could be missed times. I suspect as we get closer to day 2, the end of day 2 and the top cut, those sort of things won't happen. But we should have a judge sort of, making sure things are going well.
Right. I mean, it is at the end of the day to both players to kind of keep a clean board state. It's on both of their. I think it's on both players to kind of keep eye on both interaction. Of course, the judge can step in to try to do any kind of resolution for these players, but I think that wasn't the biggest kind of a mistake anyways, because most players don't know that the overzealous fan has to trigger first before you decide to use the Draven. Either way, It looks like he's getting a simple draw with the cleave, so kind of using that cleave just for a draw 1. And let's see what he decides to play out, because you still have some good options. It looks like cleave into Nox is hopeful, and then leave a flash open doesn't feel all that bad.
Yeah, I mean, now that we know there's no like hard counters with a Minotaur and stuff like this, I think Annie can just play it like normally. Obviously, they wouldn't have known the deck list anyway, but we're, considering, oh, what does Annie do when it can't flash units back and stuff like that? Yeah, I think it's just going to play a standard. I imagine Annie's played a lot into this mid-range Draven sort of style. There was a bit of confusion in the chat just about the way triggers work with attacking and defending. The attacking goes on and it says you may. So the attacking goes on, then the defender has to choose to resolve, then the attacker may choose to add that gold. So you are absolutely right. Plus, it should have resolved that way. You don't need to declare whether or not you're going to do it first.
Just for extra clarification in the chat, Draven is on resolution. So it goes on the stack, but you don't actually pay the gold or pay the fury until it actually resolves. So yes, the attacker goes on the chain first, but then the defender first in or last in, first out, right? So the last in was the overzealous. That's going to be the first one to resolve, and then it goes over to Draven. At least that's my understanding of the ruling, as how a lot of the judges have explained it to me as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So may, when it says you may, it's on resolution, and then you can choose to do it or not. Right. So obviously it goes on the chain, defender resolves, attacker then resolves and chooses may if he wants to pay or not. So yeah, anyway, that's the rule sharking. This is why Draven into Draven's really weird, because it's like, oh, are you gonna do it? If you do it, I'll do it. You've got that little sort of like wink wink nudge nudge thing going on.
Right, especially when we have battlefields like Reaver's Road that tends to be on the defense. Reaver's Road would trigger the same regard as would Overzealous Fan, but something to keep mindful of is Draven getting to that 4-point tempo first. I think how Draven's want to play, and actually foregoing the Dreaming Tree Conqueror because he doesn't feel confident that he's gonna be able to defend the units. Or I might be getting ahead of myself. Perhaps he's still gonna push forward with that Kaiser.
Yeah, exactly. And, the Draven's doing Draven things, which is basically like, I'm going to hold a battlefield, I'm going to score, and I'm going to keep loads of might in the back of my base and loads of runes up. So, Draven is playing exactly how Draven should here. Kaiser drawing cards as well is just absurd for a deck like Draven. I'm going to draw one for just conquering, I'm going to draw one for just winning. He does get pushed back by the fight or flight. He could hard bargain if he wanted to, but I don't think it's worth the investment.
I don't think so as well, especially when Annie could simply pay the 2 for that hard bargain. And you do have another follow-up push with the Draven. Is there going to be another fight or flight coming out from Annie's side? I don't think it's worthwhile. Just let Draven. I think the most important thing was neglecting the draw, because Draven's already going to be able to draw so much throughout this game unless you effectively starve him from that draw power, which is how a lot of people have chosen how to play against him. But the Tide Turner keeping the Draven safe in the back line and just pretty much leaving 2 units you're able to sacrifice. Don't feel too bad letting go for that next turn. The more important thing, you got to 4, and that's how Dravens tend to play. They try to conquer both battlefields each and every turn. Once they get to 6, they are feeling very comfortable in that position, and so far so good for Draven heading towards that way.
Yeah, I love the way this mid-range Draven sort of plays. It's kind of like, well, you can combat me, but I've got 8 runes up. Like, what do you want to do? And Annie, usually Annie's the one with all the cards in hand, and it's not working right now. They've got 3 cards in hand, a hard bargain, a flash, and obviously the Ferris we were talking about. Ferris is really good if you can get it onto a battlefield. How do you get Ferris onto a battlefield when the Draven's looking at you with 8 runes?
Right.
It's just so hard. It's just so hard.
And one way of getting him onto the battlefield is trying to conquer battlefield first, but it looks like the fight or flight will come down, pushing the Noxus Hopeful back to base. And real quick, just to point out some comments in chat, those cards being displayed on the screen, those are on the Bologna production side. I saw a couple of people saying, asking me to make them bigger. I can't control that, but I could bring out bigger cards. For example, let me bring out the Minotaur. Can you guys see this? Would you guys like to see it bigger? Like the Minotaur on screen, can you guys read that, or should I make that even bigger for you guys?
I think you should just take up the whole screen.
I'll do it during the intermission break. If we even get any intermission breaks, I'll try to make these cards bigger for the viewers.
Yeah, we're seeing like a few sort of reactions here from the Annie play. I think he's considering either a flash to gain the Dreaming Tree trigger, or he's considering a hard bargain to kind of make the Draven pay a couple more. I mean, if you hard bargain here repeated, the Draven has to pay 4. He might do that. In all honesty, I think he is. Yeah, repeating hard bargain. So he's going to make the Draven pay 4 if he wants the fight or flight to go through. And the Draven goes, yeah, sure, I don't care. I want the draw.
Man, honestly, I don't know how I love this play because you're just leaving Draven with 2 runes available. I don't think Draven was going to be able to use all 6 runes. All he really needs is 2 runes for that spinning axe, which is why I believe the Draven player said, okay, that's fine with me. I'll go ahead and pay the value, and does get that combat win. So that's more importantly what it was for the Draven player. As we pointed out, he does have that all-important 2 runes. And how many plays does Draven have with 2 runes? Isn't it obnoxious sometimes, BMU?
Yeah, I mean, he's got like rebukes, he's got fight or flights, he's got spinning blades. I'm probably missing a few here as well. Do you see the swing in with the Tide Turner and the Traveling Merchant? There is a good chance that he can't win here. If he goes spinning blade, he trades evenly, and it might not be the worst decision. But obviously, because of the hard bargain repeated, he can't play the Ferris Forerunner, so he's forced to chuck it on the Traveling Merchant trigger. Annie not looking good into this matchup right now.
Yeah, definitely not, especially when we consider the fact, as you mentioned, if a spinning axe comes down, that's going to be trading 1 for 1. I don't think there's any might increases in the hand of Annie. We see a flash, we see a Ferris Forerunner getting picked up, so Treasure Hunter does hit the trash for the time being, as he looks like he doesn't want to invest or doesn't have any additional combat trigs. But it looks like a Kaiser in the back and a Draven in the back will be able to clean things up, and more importantly, that Tide Turner should be able to hold up to 5 points. All you have to do is conquer that Targon's Peak, and you're at that pivotal 6 point we talked about. And there's not too much board development from the Annie side. You don't even have enough rooms to play out that Forerunner. So having to play, or what does he have for 4? Oh, the Annie Chosen Champion. What spell is he going to be able to put back? It looks like he's deciding on the fight or flight for the time being, but you don't even have enough runes. Actually, I misspoke. Annie always has enough runes at the end of the turn, doesn't she?
Always has enough runes. Yeah. It's weird because she conquered Targons as well, so she gets to restand for this turn.
Right.
But Draven's going to go up to 5. They have 8 might in their backline. They have 10 runes open. I don't know how many fight or flights and stuff that you want to have, but it's never going to be enough in this situation.
Yeah, it might just be a bit of a similar situation as we saw in that previous turn, where you push 1 unit in that eats a fight or flight, and then you could just put the other follow-up unit the next as a follow-up play. So I think a single fight or flight just might not be enough. Of course, you have a flash, you're able to keep your unit safer or follow-up push the next turn. But the job's been done if that happens, because you're at 5 and then 1 conquered up to 6, and the Annie player is simply at 3. If Draven gets up to 6 points and then just tries to establish more battlefield, or I should say more board presence going forward, there's very little things Annie can do to stop Draven from conquering over and over up to that 8th point, especially with the hand given in the current hand of Annie. Just 1 fight or flight, that is the only defensive tool. A flash isn't going to be stopping anything. A Ferris Forerunner from the hand isn't going to be stopping these conquers. So first thing's going to push forward. I like this sequencing. You push in with the non-draw, and then you see if a fight or flight gets chosen.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's the right way to do it. You know, all you have to do is spend the gold, and all of a sudden the Annie has to do something, or else it loses its battlefield. And obviously gives Draven the draw as well. So it's the right sequencing. Like, yeah, you could run in with a Kaiser and, spinning blade it or something like that. And hopefully, the Annie doesn't push you back. But they've got a fight or flight in hand because you saw the Annie grab it. So it's well worth doing the sequencing. It's like, yeah, sure, push me back. But then, you got a Kaiser and 10 runes coming at you. I can do a lot with 10 runes, says Draven.
Oh, yeah. A whole lot. We actually haven't seen what's in the hand of the Draven player, as he kind of keeps his card rather close to him, so we're not able to take a peek like we are for the Annie player. But the flash does get played out, bringing the Tide Turner and the Traveling Merchant. This could be somewhat big because Traveling Merchant allowing him to see 1 more card off the top, so perhaps trying to save himself with an additional rebuke for, we'll see. Let's see what he hits off the top.
Yeah, the problem is, you save two here, but you have to chuck another Ferris as well, which obviously is pretty useless in this game state. You do give Draven the draw, and he doesn't have to spend any runes, and he gets another gold token as well. Draven winning combats and just getting all these resources just seems massively unfair. But that's the world we live in at the moment. Plus, that's the world.
Oh yeah, and that's the Draven, the League of Draven world we're living in right now, which is why we're expecting to see Draven do phenomenal in this Bologna Regional. We both said it. We're expecting Draven to take it all the way. It would be awesome to see something else go down, but just keeping it as realistic as possible. It looks very likely with the Tide Turner coming down. I love these plays coming out from Draven.
Yeah.
You're able to keep your Draven champ nice and safe for the second time in this game number 1. And now you are at that all-important 6 point. Go ahead and play out more units. Or wait a second. I don't see any cards in hand for Draven. There's no way he's completely... No, he put it down on the board, didn't he?
Yeah, he must have put it down on the right-hand side. I've seen him sort of reaching there a few times. There's no way in 2026, Draven, there we go. He doesn't have any cards in hand. Like, it's just, there's never a Draven with 0 cards. It just doesn't happen.
And does decide to develop out a nice Darius, so has such a strong board for the following push. Has the Darius, the Draven brother, the Titan in the back, and a Kai'Sa. Man, this is going to be a mountainous task for the Annie player. She does have a decent amount of units, but you need a little bit more than that to defend both of them on this next turn. I mean, even if you split the mites apart, that's just going to be what? Collective 6 might apiece, 1 5, 1 6, and then you have 1 fight or flight. This is tricky situation for Annie.
Yeah, I imagine the Draven player is just like, yeah, sure, kill my Titana, who cares? He might start pushing stuff back to make the Annie invest a little bit to stop anything happening. But I think, honestly, with this much might sitting in your base, obviously, because the mats are really small, it's hard to see. But that's a Darius, a Draven, a Kai'Sa, and what's that last purple card there?
On the side of Draven, I think that's another Tide Turner.
Yeah. So you got loads of might, and you can have so many runes up. You've got rebukes, you've got fight or flights, you've got spinning blades, spinning axes, whatever it's called. You've got a lot of ways to punish the Annie, and you're on 6 points. So all you need to do is conquer 2 battlefields. Usually, that would be difficult versus an Annie with lots of runes. But right now, the Annie's only got a couple of cards in hand. They haven't got a lot of options, and you've got so much might in your base.
Yeah, I believe your best bet for the Annie player is just to stack everything onto one battlefield, because right now Draven has to conquer both in a single battlefield. And you know, these proactive or low value cleaves just for a draw don't seem to be too beneficial, but you have to do what you have to do to just get a +1 draw. You need to see more units, or you need to see more units to stack up these battlefields. Noxus Hopeful goes and backs up Annie. I could only imagine we're going to see a Draven and that Pouty Poro stacked up on Targon's Peak as well to try to do the best you can to hold on to one of these battlefields, because if you could hold on to one, that is one step forward to trying to reclaim control of this game.
No, you're right. You need to kind of hold one battlefield, but then obviously the Draven just goes, okay, I'll conquer the other one.
True.
And then I'm on 7 points, come at me.
Right.
But splitting your might like this is really scary, especially now. Like, the Draven sees you've got 1 card in hand. You know, all he needs to do is go, right, I'll rebuke the Noxus and swing in there and see what you do, and then just do whatever you want from there. Like, it's a really scary place to be. This is going to be really, really tough for the Annie. If any deck can do it, it's Annie, but we know it's 1 card in hand and it's a fight or flight. It's not a good position to be.
Yeah, make that 0 cards in hand for Annie as she goes ahead and hides the fight or flight. I wonder why he wants it at reaction speed rather than just playing it out and keeping him guessing a little bit more. Because right now, Draven, just straightforward math. You know, you don't have to play around anything except that hidden card. And as you pointed out, the simple fact that Annie's only going to be going up to 6 points if she holds 1 battlefield. What is stopping Draven from throwing everything in the kitchen sink over to Targon's Peak, conquering, going up to 7, and then just holding on from there? I mean, Annie has Ride the Winds, but she has 0 cards in hand. A Ride the Wind for a single unit is not going to be able to take down a Kai'Sa, a Darius, a Draven, and then whatever is lurking in the hand that we haven't been able to see this entire game from Draven.
Oh,
it looks like
Brynja, of course.
The Brynja, right? Actually, it doesn't even matter. He doesn't have cards in hand, but it's just
but he can't play the fight or flight now. Yeah, he can't play the fight or flight, so it makes the math a lot easier on the Draven side. I do appreciate it. He's going to fight or flight. He's going to reveal it anyway. Like, what do you move here? Do you move the traveling and try to get a card in hand? That's the right play, right?
I
But
think
then
so,
again, if it's
but
a
you
spell, you can't
draw
use it
one
anyway.
for Dreaming Tree, and then you have to pitch it, draw one. So I
Yeah, but
just
you
think
can't
you
play
let
spells
go of the
anyway.
fight or flight because you can't play
Yeah,
anything after this anyways.
yeah, unless it's a reaction speed, in which case you can play it now. Like, but what reaction speed cards do Annie play that can be beneficial in this situation?
I think
Nothing
very
really.
little, especially
Yeah.
to base interaction, right? You can do reaction speed against battlefield interactions, but to interact with the base right now,
Uh,
Draven, there's very little cards, if not zero cards. And it looks like he's electing to get the draw second. So, inverted
Rengar.
timeline. And I believe. Oh,
Rengar.
Rainguard is exactly a reaction speed he needed. What a fortunate top deck for Annie.
Yeah, but can you do that way? I thought
His reaction speed.
No, the traveling merchant trigger. So he moved the merchant to discard and draw, so he just drew because he had no cards in hand, and then the dreaming tree. I thought the dreaming tree would
I'm right there
go
with
the
you.
other way.
I'm pretty sure Dreaming Trigger has to trigger first and
It's on
then the move,
choose.
right?
Yeah, but
So a
it's on
little tricky
choose. So it'd
situation
be
for Annie.
yeah. I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme of things, but I think it's the reverse order resolution. So I think that was correct to do that way. But yeah, the Rengar comes down. It's only an extra 1 might compared to the traveling merchant because obviously it gets assault, not shield. So it's not the biggest of deal, but it did help a little bit.
Literally helped by just 1 might. Replaces 2 might unit with a 3 might unit. So didn't really change the math all that much. And for those wondering in chat, Rengar can be played at reaction speed. Doesn't necessarily
reaction
have to
speed
be
anyway.
on attack. So it has the reaction keyword, meaning you could play it like a discipline on defense, on action, and a double Darius coming down. That's going to be 14 total might. Should be enough.
Yeah, 14 might. Yeah, fist bump. You got it. Annie, do you know what? It looked really, really lost in the early game and mid game for Annie there, and they brought it back just that little bit.
Game number 2 is just about to begin, and Aulas of Power seems to be that cookie cutter option for Draven decks, right? When you know you're going to be on the second day, on the second turn, on the draw, as I like to call it, even though both players draw. You do get to play out your Draven champ on that opening turn, which feels pretty good, I will say.
Yeah, so Obelisk of Power is just the best like going second battlefield in history, I think. Like it's just like, look, if you let me go first, I get the advantage of going first and I get an extra rune. If you want to go first, I just play Draven turn 1 and go. It doesn't even deramp you. Like you've just got 4, and then the 6 drops for Draven are usually the most powerful. You know, you've got your Ferris and things like that just to build so much tempo. I see a lot of Kaiser into Noxus for like an 8 might turn 2, essentially, with 4 might already on the board. There's so many combinations you can do with Obelisk of Power. And it looks like the Annie is not going well. 2 Titaners for turn 1 and 2.
It looks like she cited in additional rebukes from the likes of things, as she has more than 1 in hand. But yeah, curving out not too optimally, as you said. On the other hand, it looks like Draven off to a really good start. If he has something like a Feyre's Forerunner on turn 2, that is going to be an incredibly strong start. I know they have a piercing light, but there's no units on the current battlefield, and you don't want to take out your own Draven to do so, but a stack deck just to see what is in the top of the deck. And to take this time from the stack deck to answer someone in chat saying, why were they able to play the Rain Guard, is because it's all reaction speed. Brynir goes on the stack, and then you're able to react to that activation with reaction speed. So Fight or Flight hidden was reaction speed. Rain Guard off the top was reaction speed. Once the resolution of Thundersong happens, that's when you can no longer play any cards. For just anyone wondering, that's newer to Riftbound or just newer to that interaction alone. And did we see what was the pick from the stack deck, BMU?
No, I didn't catch it, but the Kaiser does come down, so he wasn't looking for answers this turn. I think he already had the Kaiser in the hand, but I missed it. But you're absolutely right with the ruling. So what people don't understand about the chain is parts of it can resolve in order. So the Bryn here would just sit there until basically all reaction spells are done. So the move is a reaction, you know, a reaction speed. So we can look at cards and then react with the cards he drew. And until all the chain resolves, the Bryn here effect doesn't count. So that's why he's able to play Rengar on that situation.
And interesting enough, doesn't decide to conquer any battlefield. Same because you tapped out to just one single
No.
rune on the defense. You don't feel too confident that Draven's going to be sticking around because we did see the double cleave get revealed from the any player. So a cleave on the Tide Turner would almost be enough, but it would take a little bit more than that considering that Draven can buff up to 6 total might. But didn't like his odds as we do see a cleave, we see a flash and a double rebuke on top of this traveling merchant. And now is Annie trying to be a bit more on the aggressive side, perhaps feeling confident with a flash to protect his units. The only thing I don't love about a flash is that combat still happens, and when combat still happens, we know all how that benefits Draven, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, oh, combat doesn't really happen because no one's actually swinging, limbs at each other. But in the rules of the game, combat absolutely happens. As soon as that starts the chain, combat happens. So it's really hard to avoid combat with Draven in these situations. And interesting enough, this is where I find like good players versus bad players. Like bad players will generally just go, I have 10 runes. I have 10 runes worth of stuff to play. I will play 10 runes worth of stuff. Whereas good players are kind of like, actually, I'm going to try and leave 7 runes up here. I'm going to make my opponent think. And this is exactly what both players are doing at the moment. Does look like the Draven is choosing to pay the power to go up to 6. I'm not sure why, but, as you do. Oh, rebuke. That's a very early rebuke.
There we go. The rebuke coming down, taking care of the Draven, which doesn't feel all that bad. You do have plenty of runes to play the Draven out again, and that is 2 runes taken out from the rune pool of the Annie player. So as you said, it does seem like a bit of a premature rebuke, but you do get rid of the Draven, effectively having him to invest and replay it one more time, kind of changing his game plan, having to pivot around. Perhaps he had another game plan in mind. Now he has to consider the fact of replaying the Draven, but Kaiser comes down. This is the more value target he wanted to actually conquer. Let's see, there's 2 rebukes in hand, but that's all your chaos runes. I just don't think that's too advantageous.
You can't deramp by 4 runes this early in the game. I know you got an extra one from the obelisk, but deramping 4 just feels really bad. But it doesn't look like it's a rebuke. It looks like it's a flash. That does give the Kaiser obviously the draw from Kaiser's effect and the draw from winning combat if that resolves.
Yeah.
So that's a double draw. And essentially all you do is now you replay the Draven for 4 and don't even deramp. Like just obscene amounts of resource management here from the Draven player.
It really is. The card advantage is mounting on top of each other. As you pointed out, the 1-2 draw coming out from this Kaiser Survivor. And I believe he's pointed out now, unless the showdown hasn't concluded, but it looks like it resolved. Kaiser does get the conquer point. 1 draw for the Conqueror, 1 point for the Draven. And this is exactly why a whole lot of old school Annie players have moved on to Draven. Because sometimes Annie does decent to Draven, but it just looks like time and time again, Draven tends to outclass the old Fury Chaos combination legends. It looks like Draven just tends to have an upper hand every single time in this matchup.
Yeah, Piercing Light coming out as well. One of the new additions to Spiritforged. Again, most red decks I can see are running this. So he's repeating it and he's doing it in a really clever way. The judge is now checking. So essentially what he's saying is I'll do 2 damage to the Traveling, 2 damage to one of the Tide Turners, 2 damage to the Traveling, and 2 damage to the other Tide Turner, effectively splitting the 8 damage, rather than 8 damage, 6 damage over 3 units. I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
You could overkill a unit. So since it all goes on the stack together, you could choose the Traveling Merchant before it actually dies. So you're applying 4 damage, but of course it can't receive the 4 damage, but you can't in terms like overkill it to kill the 2 Tide Turners in the back. If the judges step in on this, that's going to be a curious situation that they're stepping in rather than the other plays, because this is correct.
Yeah, it's absolutely correct. He's recycling the runes. I assume that's going through. The Annie's now got a decision to make. I don't think they have another flash, which would get rid of the Piercing Light, right? Because if you flash that back, it has to deal 2 to something at a battlefield first.
They're totally different from the Chinese judge calls.
Yeah, and then just sort of swapping in the Tide Turner to keep the Kaiser back. Draven has completely killed the tempo of Annie. He made him invest 2 runes into a rebuke. and then just went, I didn't even need the Draven anyway. I'll just draw 2, I'll conquer, I'll get a point, I'll keep my Kaiser safe, and then I'll clear your whole board, Annie. Like, go, do what you want.
That's right. She actually does end up picking up a great card off the top of the deck. It's going to be a Kaiser Survivor of her own. Most likely will be played out in accelerated speed to try to conquer the Tide Turner because she's in desperate need of a bit more additional cards in hand. As after this Kaiser plays out,
2 runes.
Yeah, 2 runes available. Not in a great position, but she has to do what she has to do. If this Tide Turner has something like a spinning axe to let go of, oh, a fight or flight. Okay, I was about to say that's going to be a huge play. You take care of the Kaiser Survivor because I believe there is a cleave / a rebuke in hand. So perhaps that would have been able to kill the spinning axe, but the fight or flight is a cleaner answer to the Kaiser.
Yeah, I was going to say, if a spinning axe came down there and the Annie didn't have an answer, I think you just bump fists and go next.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, that's just devastating. Absolutely
really
devastating.
Is. And that is another combat win for Draven. Yep. This is why it gets a bit out of hand. Every fight or flight, every rebuke, every conquer you do is an additional draw, it seems like, for Draven. While on the other side of the board, Annie is struggling to get some card advantage of her own. 2 cards to, I believe, if that's the hand of Draven, has to be something closer to about 6 or even a little bit more than that. So this is very in the driver's seat for Draven.
Absolutely. I think they're just sort of arguing over the order of which he got the rune from start at peak there as well. But look at the amount of cards Draven has. I think that's like 8 or 9 cards. We know he's got a Draven. We just saw another Kaiser. He's got plenty of options just to fill that backboard. Yeah.
I think like 9 or so cards, which is an impressive amount. Make it even a 1 card more because of the Survivor conquering Obelisk of Power, now going up to 4 points of her own. And now I think it's time where you start just establishing some board presence in the base going forward. You have your Draven, and is that a Mind Splitter coming down? The only 2 cards available. Things are going from bad to worse for Annie. I think I'm agreeing with you, BMU. Perhaps I just extend the hand and call it GG from there because this is disastrous for Annie.
Yeah, you're basically playing top deck now. Like, the Draven is tapped out, don't get me wrong. So it's not like the worst case scenario for the Annie player. He's going to be able to like draw 1 and, you know, take a Kaiser off or take the Tide Turner off if he really wants to. But what do you get rid of here? Do you get rid of the cleave, knowing that if he swings at you, he's going to win the combat? Or do you get rid of the rebuke, which says obviously he can just put something back in my hand, but it cost him loads? I might get rid of the cleave here.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm leaning towards that.
It's a cheaper spell.
Is a cheaper. Of course, rebuke can be seen as the more higher card quality card. But I think in this circumstance, you do. I mean, you're not hurting for units, right? If 1 unit gets put back in hand, you still have some follow-up plays as well. I think the cleave is what's going to be allowing that Kaiser Survivor to guarantee the conquer. So it looks like we're both right. The cleave gets picked off the hand, leaving just the rebuke behind. Tide Turner gets recalled back. And now the Kaiser Survivor forced to stay for the time being. So perhaps the Survivor won't be surviving for the next turn, but still in a decently comfortable position. As we know, Skordo just has 1 rebuke, and I believe I didn't get to see the card in hand, but he's probably going to play the card in hand this turn as he doesn't have any other option.
Overzealous fan. It's Draven's biggest fan versus Draven. I think he's just going to have to take the Targons here, draw a card and see what he can top deck. The Annie is in full top deck mode now versus a Draven that has lots of might, lots of cards in hand, and lots of runes. It's a scary place to be.
Yeah, I believe Draven on any department of this game is winning it on the hand, on the runes, in the board. He's currently in a great position. Overzealous, as you said, and it looks like a fight or flight off the top. So trying to hold on to star type peak, which I believe with the Overzealous and a fight or flight, you should be able to do so. So perhaps this is the one little bit of window of opportunity Annie needed to try to get back into this game and not let Draven completely run away with it. But with that said, there's just 1 too many cards in Draven's hand, and that's not a position you want to be against.
No, Annie is definitely stabilizing considering like where they were a turn ago, you know, down to 1 card essentially. Now they look like they're stabilizing just a little bit. And Draven doesn't have a lot of might. It has a Titan that has the Mind Splitter, but they've got rebukes. They're grabbing some stuff from the trash with the Annie chosen champion as well. So they're going to have to show what they grab. A Flash is a great one. It can sort of drag Kaiser back, but again, every time you engage with a Draven and your units are not there and his are, then you give him some more cards.
Yeah, so I mean, this flash might not be too beneficial, but it will allow you to keep that survivor safe for the next turn, perhaps setting up some more card draw in the future. But you are going to be able to give back a point, and then that's another additional card draw for the side of Draven. So flash is a bit of a win-lose situation, as I like to say from before. So he hides, I believe, the fight or flight. Interesting enough. Is that just in case the Brynjar gets played out again, like he did in game 1?
Yeah, that's a really good sort of line of thought there. Plus, to be fair, Brynjar comes down and you absolutely get devastated. Yeah, you can push stuff back, but who cares? Like you can't be losing units now. You need to build up your battlefield. You need to build up your base, and you need to have cards in hand. And to make that happen, you need to have Kaiser on the board. Like if Kaiser dies here, like I know in my Dravens, I've run 2 Falling Stars in my main deck. Falling Star like right now would be absolutely devastating. Yeah, it'd be absolutely devastating. I haven't seen this Draven play one yet, but look, we've got Ride the Winds, we've got Rebukes, we've got Kaisers, we've got so much accelerated stuff, and he's just like, look, I'm going to move my Mind Splitter in. Choose. What do you want to use on this Mind Splitter to hold onto this battlefield for 1 more minute?
Yeah, if I'm here, I guess I'm letting go of that overzealous fan, pushing the bigger might unit back, allowing that Titan to have to invest a bit more to get over the Kaiser Survivor. So I think you have to go ahead and use the overzealous fan. And we caught a bit of a picture from Draven's hand. He had so many great cards. He had a switcheroo. He had the Draven that got rebuked a couple turns ago, and a whole lot of units on top of that. So even if these plays don't go through, I think as time continues on in this game too, it's just going to be leaning towards Draven more and more so with each and every turn, especially with only an Annie in the back. And I believe it's just a flash and maybe one other card for Annie currently, but investing a rebuke, that is not what you want to be putting back in hand. But perhaps because you only have 1 card in hand, it doesn't really make too much of a difference, does it?
I know, but like, I don't know, like you've got an overzealous fan there, you've got a fight or flight at reaction speed. Why would you drop the rebuke? That just seems really strange to me. And like now he's in a weird situation where he has to like overzealous fan to push the Titan back or just trade with it. Like, you probably just trade with it, right? But you lose your overzealous unless he wants to now use the fight or flight to push back the Titan. Like it's so bizarre the situation he's ended up in on this game.
Yeah, especially when we consider the fact that we haven't seen a spinning axe in all of his best of 3 series. There has to be at least 1 spinning axe in that massive hand Draven has. So if you don't push back the Titan now, a spinning axe is going to be able to go up to 5 total might. That's going to be enough, and funny enough, BMU, he actually doesn't have it. That's crazy.
No, do you see the gem jammer though? He can gank across to the Kaiser. That's wild.
I love it. A nice little tech gem jammer. Maybe that's where the falling stars are, because to your point, I believe the winning list from last weekend's 1K we hosted, Colin had 2 fallen stars in the main board, or maybe 1 in the main, 1 in the side, but falling star is an incredible card in the current meta. But investing
I would tell you exactly because it's the one I'm running as well. It's 2 falling star in the main and 1 in the sideboard for Colin Kaiser's legendary list that I am running, because he does some crazy stuff, and I think he's one of the best players in Riftbound at the moment.
Yeah, one of the best players NA for sure. I'm loving what he comes out. I'm wishing we see him in the feature match, because we saw him in the feature match in Houston. Perhaps when it starts getting closer to the higher tables, we will be seeing Colin perform well. He's most likely going to be playing Draven. I can't see a world where he won't be playing Draven this weekend.
Yeah, he's playing Draven as far as I know. He might have switched up at the last minute, but I'm a big fan of theirs. I'm on their Discord. I talked to him on Twitter, and it seems like that he's definitely going for Draven. So hopefully we see him in the finals, because I think he's, as I said, he's one of the better players. and I would love for a NA player. If I can't get a UK player to win, I'd love an NA player. My brothers from across the
There we
pond.
go.
Yeah.
And since these players, since it looks like it's all but over for the Annie, it's surprising enough. I know it could be a little bit early to say that, as Annie's just at 3 points, Draven's at 4, but it just seems to be the picture being painted with Annie just a single card. A fun little side note, speaking about Colin, he actually used to be the owner of my locals. So like
Oh, wow.
7-8 years ago, when I first started playing TCGs back again, I say again because everyone played in like middle school Yu-Gi-Oh just for fun, but when I started taking TCG serious, I found a locals near my college, and he was one of the owners at that local. So I've known Colin for a very long time, and we both went to like regionals, competed together from then on. And then I think he lives in Houston or Texas now or something like that. But I've known Colin for quite some time. So obviously I'm a big fan as well. But let's get back to this game and see how Draven closes out this game. Or is there a world where Annie just goes on the Kirkalian comeback, but a flash? Oh, man. I think like chat said, I think Annie's just here for a bit of the screen time, because these plays are just not going to be enough to take down this game from Draven.
Yeah, if you're sponsored as Annie, now's the time you start like sort of nudging the badge into camera. Try to get some more sponsorship points and some sponsorship money. But I think, yeah, this is all but done. The only hope Annie has got, and I'm being absolutely honest here, right? The only hope Annie has got is Draven overextends, misplays, Annie top decks like an actual god. It goes to game 3 and they draw because of time. Right. Honestly, I think that might be the only hope Annie's got. The biggest indication to me of how a game is going is how many runes you've got compared to your opponent. And right now, Annie's been forced to recycle a lot of Chaos runes. He drew the stack deck, which is probably the best top deck you could ever do.
Right, just finding the more ideal card from the top of the deck. And it looks like he wants to get an additional draw before committing to that stack deck. So going for the Tide Turner, as Draven is the one tapped out for once. And now Kai's able to go up to 4 points, able to get an additional draw. And that would be a Ferris Forerunner, not too shabby. Perhaps you want to go ahead and establish that Ferris Forerunner onto the opposite power to back up your Kai'Sa. But if you do so, you can't play your stack deck until your opponent's turn, which is not all that bad either, but you can't really do too much with just a single rune. But goes on the offensive, the overzealous, the Annie, 5 might versus 4, and there is nothing Draven can do. Wait a minute, BMU. Is there a world where Annie tries to come back with these attacks?
This is what I mean. Like Draven players, right? It's a mid-range deck. You build points, you build might in your base. You conquer points, but you keep your units safe. And like, although Annie is behind still, don't get me wrong, it's a tough place to fight back from. This is the kind of thing that can lose Draven the game, is by overextending, not keeping your units safe, and not playing around possibilities. Now the Annie has, a card in hand. I think it's a stack deck, so he can play at action speed, looking for reaction, but I don't think there's any one cost reaction spells. But now there is a Ferris Forerunner on the battlefield, which is going to be really hard to deal with. And if there is not, I think it's a stack deck, but if it's not, if it's like a fight or flight or something, then there could be a possibility where Annie gains some point tempo. Don't get me wrong, it's still in the favor of the Draven, but this is a type of situation where it's just like, look, I'm really far ahead. Why would I risk possibly falling behind when I don't need to?
Yeah, and honestly, there's just one too many cards in the hand of Draven. The double switcheroo, the rebuke, the ride, the win. There's so many available options to get Draven continuing on the pressure. So perhaps that 1-2 turn from Annie, it seemed to be a bit of a pickup for Annie's momentum. But in the actuality of the bigger picture, it looks like Draven still in clean control of this game as they go up to the 6 point. And now the big question at hand is how you take care of start to peak. I think a rebuke is a good step forward in that direction. You take care of their Ferris Forerunner, put it back in hand, and now, I mean, switcheroo seems a bit too ambitious to kind of switcheroo Tide Turner for Annie. If there's a cleaner way, I just don't know if he has it in hand, because I didn't see any spinning axes.
No, just play safe. Just rebuke the Ferris, push the Annie, and then just take the point. But he's playing super safe here. He's like, what is that possible card that could have 2 runes up? Like, who cares? Yeah. Like, just push in. We've seen the rebuke. I'm pretty sure I've seen a fight or flight. that's an instant game win. And I said about playing safe, but there's playing too safe as well. And I think from this point of view, I think this is unlosable now from the Draven. I don't think there is a world other than, I don't know.
The best hit off the top would be an inverted timeline. Inverted timeline, maybe there's a world, but you have to pay 3, leaving behind just 4 runes. You can't even play out a Darius accelerated after that, because if you top deck a Darius, you don't have a secondary card to activate Darius. So inverted timeline, if that deck list we saw earlier before the match started, you get rid of all these amazing cards for Draven. You all start from square one, drawing 3 cards. Yeah. So that would be the best, most opportunity she would have to get back in this game. But the stack deck that Annie wishes she had in hand, it goes for Draven's side. And let's see what better cards are able to be picked up.
He had a Rebuke Ride the Wind as well. So he could have got the Draven trigger on there, gone to 6, Rebuke the Ferris, Ride the Wind across, go to 8, and he comes back ready. So even if that was a Fight or Flight in his hand, the Draven's sitting there with 8 might and ready. You can just move in and win the game. There was so many lines for the Draven player to win there. Maybe the fact that the Annie kind of regained a bit of tempo really sort of frightened him, and he went, "Oh, I better play safe." But there was just an absolute game winner there. Like, you put the Ferris back in his hand, you control both battlefields, and he has 1 card in hand. GG.
Yeah.
There was so many opportunities for Draven to win there. That was really, really weird play. And we see him top deck the Ferris, which is not what you want to see. I mean, what do you do here? You just put the Ferris on the battlefield and close your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, you have 12 here, right? Impressive might, or 15 total might on start to peak. It's not an easy number to get over. I mean, Draven goes up to 6, the Mind Splitter attacking for 7, so you got 13 might there. The Tide Turner adds up to 15, so you have enough with a Ride the Wind over, but that's gonna be 4 3 might mech tokens spawning after everything's said and done, and you don't even get the Conquer for your troubles as well. So perhaps that Ferris Forerunner doesn't seem like the best hit off the top, but maybe the best you can do in this current situation. You just kind of defend, because right now Draven is posing as he just wants to go ahead and conquer both battlefields on this turn, or I should say hold one battlefield, hold the opposite power, and then try his damage to try to go ahead and conquer start to peak. Will he do that? Draven's is the question.
Yeah, Draven's got the point tempo, so if he can conquer... Oh, if he's got like Fight or Flights, but we know he's got Rebukes and Ride the Winds and all those lovely things. So there's just too many, like, Mind Splitter plus Ride the Wind, Rebuke. You just can't lose. Yeah, you can't lose. Like, the Annie player's holding on, but it's like fingertips while you're dangling off a mountain. There's no hope. You can just last a bit longer.
There's no such thing as bluffing for the Annie player, as the only thing he's holding on to is his current hands. So 0 cards in hand, just straightforward math. Sends in a Tide Turner and a switcheroo. It looks like he wants to win the combat. So going up to 6-2, but you just need a little bit more. But it looks like he's just giving up, and not really giving up, but he already saw that Draven was just going to be able to take it home. Was the switcheroo enough? You just go up to 6, and then that was 8 on the other side, right?
12 on the other side. Sorry, 8. Yeah. So you just trade for one, and then you rebuke the other one, and then you just walk in with the Mind Splitter.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter in any possible way. Basically, you get to see 2 more cards every single turn, so it could work out. But I don't think we've seen her played correctly yet. I think there's a strategy there. I haven't seen it. I'm not smart enough to see it, but I think some of these players this weekend will definitely know how to play her correctly.
Yeah, I think if there's one time to bring out the best Rek'Sai player, it's going to be Bologna to bring that out for us. Funny enough, I'm seeing the sideboard inclusion, so perhaps we're catching this best of 3 series in the middle of things. Perhaps we're going ourselves into a game 2. I wouldn't blame him, because that game number 1 for round number 2 took a little bit longer than it should have for just being at 2-0. But since they're pre-recorded, I would only imagine they're going to start us from the beginning. But I'm only saying that because they showed us a sideboard, or they're showing us a sideboard now. Do you think they're just previewing it, or we're starting into game 2?
Yeah, I think it's just a preview, but we haven't actually seen. It's red purple, so I'm assuming we're seeing another Draven, maybe Annie.
No, that's definitely Draven, but maybe Annie, you're not wrong. But the against all odds, the hard bargains, maybe Annie, but I'm definitely leaning towards Draven. So most likely Rek'Sai versus an overnumber Draven, and that's a fancy Draven. The overnumber and the alternate
all
Draven.
the bling. It has all the bling. Obelisk of Power, Candlelit Sanctum. That must be Rek'Sai's battlefield, right? They must have that in the wrong way.
So go ahead and get the plays off the Rek'Sai legend ability a little bit more cleaner because you're able to scry them, of course.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. This is another round 2 game. So this isn't
game
round
3
actually.
But
it looks like game 3. Yeah, so they're 1-1 at the moment. Okay, so production are doing a really, really good job at making sure that the action is non-stop. So we're going into round 2, game 3. It's 1-1. I think, yeah, by the looks of it, the Rek'Sai went first. The Rek'Sai won game 1, Draven won game 2, and now Rek'Sai is on the play on game number 3. Candlelit Sanctum, really, really good for Rek'Sai. Obelisk of Power, obviously changing things around a little bit. But they're playing really fast because they've got 19 minutes to go, unless it's a draw.
Yeah, I think 19 minutes should be plentiful, especially when we have the 3 turn overtime rules. And let's see these hits off the top. A Piercing Light doesn't feel all that bad, but you can't necessarily use it as you do. I mean, you could take out the Treasure Hunter. You could.
No, you'd have to shoot your own unit because it has to be done at a battlefield first.
Yeah, I know. You shoot your own unit, it would survive 1, but if you repeated it, funny enough, you could actually bring your Immortal Phoenix back from that Piercing Light as well.
So is he killing the Hopeful? He's killing his Phoenix and the Hopeful. Yeah. Okay. Fine, I guess.
Yeah, but then you don't have the energy to pay for Immortal Phoenix, so just making sure you get their Immortal Phoenix later down the road. So prioritizing just taking down the bigger unit. But to be honest, I don't know how I love that, because now that's a simple conquer for Draven. But it actually, thinking about it a little bit more, is similar to the fact of kind of retreating your Phoenix to not let Draven get any combat wins. And you're kind of just retreating it to the trash rather than to base. So I kind of see the method to the madness of that Rek'Sai play.
I do, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it doesn't feel very nice to do. I've had it like played against me like that before, where they've kind of like killed their own unit to take out a backline unit, and then being Draven, I'm just like, cool, I'll play Draven, and then I'll just take the battlefield next turn. Who cares?
Right.
So yeah, it's a big resource investment. Like, I know he had the seal, so he ended up playing 1 power, but then he can't do anything that turn to build up tempo. And don't get me wrong, Immortal Phoenixes, you want them in your graveyard, but do you want to give up that much tempo that quickly?
Yeah, I know. I mean, the only thing I would imagine is you have some follow-up kill spells, perhaps something like a Falling Star to get rid of the Draven in the back line. It's a bit of an overkill, but you might as well get rid of it while you can, while your opponent's tapped out. But I say tapped out, but there's 2 runes, 2 essential runes, mind you. But the Piercing Light is a perfect opportunity. You get the overkill shot on the Treasure Hunter, and you're doing that exactly.
Only paid 2.
With the seals, right? Or no, he still needs to recycle 1. Or did he only do it 1 time, it looks like?
Once. Yeah, once. I don't know why you wouldn't do that twice.
It looks like a Call of the Week coming down, so it didn't necessarily have to do all the damage, because even if there was a Spinning Axe coming down, a Call of the Week would have been the perfect option. So I think he's playing this perfectly. Now the question is, can he bring back Immortal Phoenix? You have 1 energy, you can do 1 power, but I think forgoes the Immortal Phoenix activation for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, that makes much more sense. I was like, why wouldn't you just repeat the Piercing like that? But yeah, you're right. If a Spinning Axe came down, then obviously that just saves it, and then you have to Call the Week, and then it's a bit messy. So it could have happened, but I really like the order in here from Rek'Sai, and this is why I said Rek'Sai is for smart players, not me.
Yeah, Rek'Sai is an incredibly tough deck, similar to how Draven, the beta hook Draven, now in the right hands, Draven seemed to be the most incredible deck ever. And then in your average hand, it just didn't really seem to pack too much of a punch. But let's see what this Rek'Sai has for this next turn. The Soaring Sail coming down, the Noxus Hopeful following up, and just passes. So nice little quick play, knowing that there's only 15 minutes remaining and both players at just a single point apiece. They have a long road ahead to get up to that 8th point winning point. And Darius is 1 good step in the right direction. Are they going to be able to double conquer? Or going up to 2 never feels too bad, staying on that even tempo. But ideally, you would want to perhaps at least play out another unit this turn.
Yeah, I think Draven now needs to just build up this back line and just, the point tempo at the moment isn't bad. It's 1-1. Yeah, they're probably going to go up to, 3 points next turn. but I would spend a turn or two developing, playing stack decks, looking for the cards that you want to win, picking those fights. And if you can protect your Darius, get it onto a battlefield. And if you can't, forgo the points. Just chill, build up that back line, play really safe. But Falling Star comes down, double targeting Noxus, so that eliminates a lot of the might in the background. And now, Darius is kind of free to do whatever he wants because there's no tempo on the Rek'Sai side. But Red has a lot of accelerate units.
Yeah, one of those being right there in the chosen zone. I believe he has +2 assault as well, so swinging in for 5 total might on the offense, but most likely has, if he doesn't have another unit to follow this Darius up with, perhaps even a simple Call the Week number 2 coming down for Rek'Sai, Rek'Sai Legend, because where there's one kill spell, there's definitely many more down the road. Let's see what he has in hand, though. I wish at the beginning of the turn, they will cut to a hand cam, and then maybe a couple turns later, they need a bit more hand cam value there. But the Soaring Scout just getting Conquer number 2. Now this is going to be the more important play. What does he hit off the top of the Rek'Sai? Void
Blade. There's a lot of removal here, but the Void is probably the better pick here because you can then just play it and then look at some more cards. The Seal's doing work there, stopping him recycling, so he's able to keep his rune count up, which is obviously, the Rek'Sai does a lot of power. There's a lot of power. And a Falling Star, that's devastating.
That's a beautiful card off the hit. You already get the +2 energy from the Void Rush, so you only have to pay 2 power. I say only, but 2 power is a good amount of power. Pays 1 for the Seal, recycles 1 with a pure rune, and that is a Falling Star getting chosen on Darius.
2?
What was that?
He paid 2 energy for the Falling Star. I thought
Void Rush
makes
should have
it free.
been +2 energy, no?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure that's how Void Rush reads. You get 2 energy, or your play costs 2 energy less, but the Spinning Axe coming down, protecting the Darius. Void Rush number 2 coming down. Let's see if he's able to hit anything else. He has 2 energy remaining.
Yeah, but he should have 4, right?
Energy.
Yeah, he should have 4 because of the old Void Rush, and this might really hurt him if he doesn't realize that.
He technically still has 4 with the Void Rush now.
Yeah,
but
look, he's realized he's calling the judge to say that he shouldn't have paid for that because of Void Rush. He's just realized. So we'll see how this resolved. Yeah, it's absolutely. We were correct. He missed the
Falling Star. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm the judge, he missed it, but that's just me being the competitive player, perhaps not the best judge. Because if my opponent tapped for the Falling Star, that was on you not using your runes. But technically, I believe... No, that's not energy in the rune pool. Unless he would say, I tap those
you could
to
technically
put
say
the
I
energy
floated.
in the rune pool.
Yeah.
So it's in the rune pool, technically.
Yeah, he tapped it, but he has to leave it tapped. Yeah. But you can just say he floated it and he used the Void Rush energy
floating.
Instead.
They're floating. They haven't been cleared until the end of the turn. If it happens before the draw phase, they will clear at the draw phase. If it happens until the end of the turn, they stay until the end of the turn. So, yes, I think everything has been remedied. There's 2 energy floating on top of the 2 energy for that second Void Rush. So, effectively has 6 total runes to work with.
There's no way. The judge is arguing. This is like the simplest thing ever. Like, he missed a trigger and he's trying to get it back, but he just said, look, I paid 2, so I float 2. So it doesn't matter. And I think the judge is disagreeing with him. I think the judge is disagreeing with him.
Wow, I can't believe they're disagreeing with it. Is this where you appeal a judge's decision?
I go head judge here. I go head judge 100% here.
You're not in the wrong.
I paid 2, but I already had 2.
I mean, we are talking about that decisive game 3 situation. If there's any time to appeal, of course, you're running a little bit low on that time clock, so you have to be mindful of that. But it does make a difference because you're about to see 2 cards from Void Rush, and you should have 6 total energy to work with. That makes a world of difference from just having 4, even 2 energy that they're kind of letting them have right now.
Correct. Yeah. No. When you're looking at Void Rush, you definitely want as much mana. That's why the card says it gives you 2, because it's trying to give you the most it possibly can to look for the biggest things. Mm-hmm. And if you've got 2 compared to 4 or 6, it's a massive difference to what can be played. But I think the judge, if they don't let him have the floating mana, that's so incorrect. Like, so very incorrect.
Very incorrect. And just to break it down for anyone that's rather confused, I think Heart Crew or anyone else in chat saying what just happened. So Void Rush comes down. For those that don't know Void Rush, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck and you could play one of them for 2 energy less. He wanted to play the Falling Stars.
Yeah,
so Falling Star was just simply going to be paid for 2 energy or 2 power instead of 2 energy. And was that a hard bargain on the Void Rush?
Yeah, he went through all that. He's like, oh, I've got the 2 floating. And then he just hard bargained it anyway. So he had to pay the extra 2 anyway. So it didn't actually matter at all.
So he should have 4 runes, but didn't have enough for the Bring Your Thunder song. So plays out the Honest Broker essentially for free from the Void Rushes, and now throws it back over to Draven. Keeps the Spinning Axe, keeps the Darius, loves to see that, and now goes up to 3 points on this turn, but doesn't have too much going on other than that. So this point, or this turn rather, should be very important for Draven. Does he keep establishing this dominance he's been performing, at least not in this game, but overall as a Spiritforged set, or can he do any little bit else? Let's see though, because this is a key turn. If he gets rid of the Soaring Scout, he's going to be feeling in an even better position. If he sets up a good back line, he's going to be feeling in a decent position as well. So I think this is Draven's game to lose, but it all depends on the hand. If we could see the hand, we could definitely see a better picture painted.
Yeah, the thing about the Rek'Sai, so Draven's very like telegraphed to a point. Like you can see the cards on the base, see cards in hand, you can see runes up. It's quite telegraphed like what can happen and what can't happen. Whereas Rek'Sai just pops out of anywhere and just like suddenly it's got like 10 might on the board from nowhere and it's attacking you and it's drawing cards and it's playing cards. I think the Draven right now has to retreat, which he is doing, and he has to start playing a little bit slower because it looks like he's got a serious lack of cards in his hand. It looks like he's only got 2 or 3 in his hand at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think he's had any combat victories this game number 3, so perhaps he is running a little bit low on card draw right now, because as you said, I'm kind of seeing the camera on the upper right of the screen. He's only flicking through like 2 or 3 cards to your point. So let's see. It looks like he did decide to play out the Gust for the Soaring Scout. That doesn't seem too impactful, but every point you could take away from Rek'Sai, especially when we think about perhaps maybe going into overtime where you have to win by 2 points, that could be coming into play. But honestly, with 10 minutes remaining in this game 3, I'm pretty sure both of these more aggressive decks should be able to finish it out.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, so you haven't got a lot of cards, so you haven't got a lot of options, which really worries me, leaving, you know, stuff on the battlefield when you don't have that many options. He gusted the Soaring Scout so he could reactivate the Darius so he could swing in to get a 4th point. But I'm not sure if like gaining a point there is worth risking the Darius on the battlefield, because you know it can be hidden bladed, which obviously loses your Spinning Axe. It does give you 2 cards, don't get me wrong, but I would prefer to have a Darius with a Spinning Axe and 2 more cards in my hand at this point.
And it looks like the Candlelight Sanctum will be activated and decided to keep one of those cards at the top. So likes what he sees for the Rek'Sai ability, the Blood Money, and the Hidden Blade, as you said. Does he decide to deploy out the Hidden Blade right here in this moment? It doesn't seem too bad because, as you pointed out, that is going to be a Spinning Axe getting taken care of. So the Hidden Blade does get decided to get played out. You do get 2 draws. That's exactly what Draven needed because he was desperately looking for additional draws. But losing your Spinning Axe is a big tempo swing, especially when Rek'Sai has the battlefield advantage. 1 unit in the back. If he plays out a Noxus Hopeful, and actually even more important, the Immortal Phoenix, always looking to come back whenever you kill a unit. This is a fantastic position for Rek'Sai, looking good going forward and making it even juicier with another unit getting played out. You're essentially all but tapped out, but with only 1 unit in the back line, or with only 1 unit on the battlefield, you don't feel too overextended or too much of a risk of giving Draven some extra draws. So this is good.
Yeah, exactly right. And I've seen the 2 draws off the top where from the Hidden Blade were Rebuke and Titana. Titana not really that useful in this situation. Rebuke not really either. Like, do you want to rebuke a 2-cost unit back to someone's hand?
Right.
Like, honestly, like, do you want to do that? We do see the Bryn here, but you know, the thing is, he's forced to play the Bryn here just so he's got some might in his base. But it's not the ideal turn to use it. And now he's just forced to pass. So this is what I mean about like overextending with cards, like especially as Draven, when you've got no way to save it. Like knowing you're playing against a yellow deck, why would you leave something on the battlefield for 1 point? giving up so much tempo for one single point just didn't seem worth it to me.
It really didn't. This is rather a low tempo Draven. I mean, compared to the Draven we saw previously versus Annie, it seems like a much lower game plan coming out, and bring your Thunder Song of your own Rek'Sai coming down and now negating.
How'd you like Bryn here's, bro?
Yep, exactly. A little bit of twinsies, but the spinning X can still come down, but it looks like there is no reaction speed combat tricks for the Draven, so everything rather straightforward, and you do want to get to even points. But I think in this situation, you go up to 5 either way, because Soaring Scout will be allowing you to... Actually, with Rek'Sai, you're always looking to conquer, aren't you?
Yeah. How'd you like Soaring Scouts, bro?
Might as well play one
Here's 2 more of them. Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, the even odd point thing is a little less relevant within Spiritforged, because like a lot of decks hold and a lot of decks push and things like that. It is still very much like a target to look for. But look, you know, the might in the back of the battlefield, or the back of the base, sorry, for Rek'Sai is just so much greater than the Draven right now. He is going to draw a card and win a combat, but you also get, is it draw? It's Channeling Rune Exhausted, isn't it, for the scout?
It is, yeah.
When it dies. So yeah, you get a little bit of benefit from it.
Exactly. You do get some resource generation nonetheless. Draven will be going up to 5, but as you point out, there's just so much might in the back line for this Rek'Sai player. So feeling decently in that driver's seat, has a 5 might push, or 5 might, or goes up to 5 might with the Assault 3 or the Assault 2. Actually, yeah, Mortal Phoenix Assault 2. It goes up for 5. You have another 5 might unit with the Thunder Song, and then the little guys, you know, there's power in numbers, right? So the little guys can add up.
Yeah, you got your Rek'Sai Chosen. We know Red has a lot of, you know, combat trick spells, you know, Cleaves. I don't know if Rek'Sai runs Cleaves. It's got, you know, what's the new one? Blood Rush as well. I don't know. Again, I don't know what Rek'Sai runs because I don't really play it. But there is options in Red that say, I will get more might on my unit. And of course, he could just decide to swing in. He's got the Candlelit Sanctum plus the Rek'Sai ability. So he gets to choose what he sees as well, which is such a powerful ability. And look, Draven is forced just to play whatever he can. He's trying to keep the Bryn here safe, which is the correct move, but it's a tough spot for him. He does have Rebuke, so he does have Fight or Flights, so maybe he can stop the Rek'Sai scoring, but look how many units are in the back, you know, in the back ready to go.
And I might be mistaken, but it almost feels like this Draven player very lacking on the Chaos Runes. And there they are. They were just hidden behind all the Fury ones. But I was going to say, he might not even have enough Chaos Runes for the Rebuke, but does decide to play out the Overzealous Fan, backing up the Tide Turner. But just for might, yes, you could push one of these units back, but Honest Broker also has 2 might. So Honest Broker, Soaring Scout. Actually, Soaring Scout, I believe, just has a single might, similar to Treasure Hoarder.
Yes.
So this is
so
tricky.
yeah, you kind of push stuff in, you force the trades, you force the, you know, the Overzealous Fan trigger. You can definitely go to 7 points this turn. Like there's not much stopping that, in my opinion. 2 Overzealous Fans. Draven is really investing, but it's just not worth the trade in this scenario, I don't think. Like, because you can just run stuff in and force him to, you know, do something.
Yeah, the only thing I will add, with those Overzealous Fan on the Obelisk of Power, it's essentially saying push your unit back, draw 1. Because every single time you push something back, it's a combat win for Draven. And Draven isn't limited to a single card draw per turn. So I like what he's setting up here, because he does need some additional cards. We saw the hand. He really doesn't have too much going for him. He has the Rebuke, as we pointed out. I think he has maybe 1, maybe 2 more other cards, but other than that, this is it. So he's desperately in need of some better cards nonetheless. Let's see how this Rek'Sai approaches this turn, because this is almost feeling like his Rek'Sai's game to lose, as she goes up to 6 and now looking to conquer up to 7. But let's see what these hit off the top
from Candlelit back on the top as well. Kill a unit and Sundisk. Oh, Sundisk is an interesting one here. Obviously, Legion gives something rush, so you can play another unit. I doubt he wants to use a Vengeance unless he uses it on the back line on the Bryn to stop any sort of crackback. That could be the way to do it. Now he plays the Sundisk. Okay, that makes sense.
Not too bad. That is a bit of a hefty investment on the Order Runes, right? Because you don't have the seals for the yellow. You only have them for the red. And now that the Sundisk get played out, I believe Legion is online, allowing you to exhaust it right now. You don't have to play an additional card, don't you?
I think it's when it comes into play, so it would have to see the second card.
Okay.
as far as I know, anyway. Again, Rek'Sai is a lost deck on me. It's one I've not invested in.
I'm
But
pretty
you
sure
know
I've
what?
seen
It
it
looks really
ruled.
fun.
It is really fun, but I think I've seen the Sundance ruled either way. But either way, it looks like he played the honest broker and doesn't want to go to that 7th point. Realizing you're at 6, all he has to do is push both battlefields next turn. And with the little might presence currently being displayed from Draven's side, he feels pretty good about that. He has a Rek'Sai, he has a Sundance as well. You play one card, Sundance, and then your next unit comes accelerated speed. So I am liking Rek'Sai's position going forward. If there was something like an unchecked power for the base, that would be the only out for Draven. But so far, so good for Rek'Sai. I don't see a world, but let's see. Draven is a heck of a legend in himself. If he has enough combat trigs, perhaps he could hold on.
Yeah, he's just arguing about the trigger on the draw now. So technically, it's on combat win. So he has to draw before he uses Candlelit. That is the correct sequence. Because on combat would win before the conquer.
Right.
So combat has to resolve before the conquer triggers. So yeah, he shouldn't be looking at those 2 cards. He shouldn't have looked at those 2 cards.
Are they ruling it the other way? It looks like the judge said, hey, you can take it. Because it's different than saying you get a draw for the conquer. This is a draw for the combat win.
Correct. Yeah. So technically the draw should happen first, then the candlelit on the conquer. So yeah, it's a little bit rule sharky, but it is the correct order, and it makes a massive difference. Because if Draven knows the top card that's coming, then it makes a massive difference. Yeah, so combat resolves first, so the draw would have to happen first, then the conquer on the candlelit. I'm not sure how they're gonna do this, but that's a good catch by the Rek'Sai player there, because that does make a massive difference. Oh, he's picked one at random, and then the other one goes to the top of the deck, so he knows what card he's getting anyway. So he got the spinning axe in hand. I think that's the one he was going to choose anyway.
Okay. I believe he just picked up a Gus, so not the best card. It decently changes things. You could Gus one of the honest brokers back to hand. But that's about it. Honestly, Gus not looking too good. But the Thermo Beam, just to deal with the Seals and the Sundance, not a bad trade. The Seals were getting huge amount of advantage going forward in this game. But this is all down to the final moments of this game number 3. You have 18 seconds remaining. I believe the active player will be Draven. So turn 0 most likely will be on the hand of grab. And then Rek'Sai will be that turn 2, or turn 1, I should say. I think this game should be able to finalize within those 3 turns, right?
Yeah, so we've got, 5 might with a Bryn here, 3 might plus Assault 2 with the Rek'Sai, couple of 2 might units, a 3 might. That Phoenix has Assault as well, right? Bryn here comes down. That stops cards, but he's still got to deal with the Overzealous fan pushbacks. But then again, now you're not worried about losing combat because Draven can only really play Spinning Blades, or Spinning Axing, sorry.
Yeah, that was the final nail in the coffin. The Bring Your Thunder song number 2 should be able to close things out. As you pointed out, the Overzealous fans still get their ability, and the fact that Draven draws just doesn't matter anymore, as they aren't able to play out or benefit from those additional draws.
I can't work out if he's got enough.
No, he should have enough. Back. There's no world. Because you can trade the Brynjar, just Brynjar, send it on his broker, you go up to 7, and then you have 2 on his brokers for the Overzealous. Yeah. And then you have yeah, he should have enough. The curious question for me is, why didn't Draven put a Spinning Axe on the Tide Turner or the Brynjar? That's reaction speed. He should have at least invested anything. It's a gear.
It's a gear, right? Oh no, does it say you can't play cards? That's Brynjar, right?
No, you can't play cards, but you can react to the activation. But either way,
I was just thinking, like, does it say spells or cards? So if it said spells, then I can understand not using the Spinning Axe. But yeah, you'd think you just put it all on something and hope. I think the Draven could have held out there, possibly with a Spinning Axe.